Hi guys, and welcome back to another Community Talk podcast. I'm happy to be joined with UsmaanTalksUtd here. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad after yesterday's performance. But how you doing?
Yeah, I'm quite happy considering we actually won that game. But I mean, we could
Yeah,
be sitting here absolutely raging. Um, but yeah, you know what to do, guys. Obviously, follow us on the socials, like and subscribe to the channel. And Usmaan, obviously, most people know you by now. Obviously, if you're not already, subscribe to Usmaan Talks United as well. But yeah, we're just going to get straight into it. And I mean, Cavani, how good we see whenever he came on yesterday. I thought he was literally our best player. He was everywhere. He's an absolute sniper in the box. He scores everything. He's too good. But I want to talk about the controversy after the game.
yeah, of course.
Obviously, it's quite a hard one because I don't know anything about Uruguayan type
Yeah,
life. But there seemed to be an incident on Instagram where he quickly took down that didn't sit well with fans all over the world and the FA especially. Probably, I think
yeah,
possibly something could happen. What's your views on it?
yeah. No, first and foremost, right? Because I can't remember. I think I was doing a match reaction when the message got sent to me, um, and I was like perplexed at what's going off because I didn't really understand it. Like you said yourself, I'm not really like culturally sort of diverse to know what the situation is in Uruguay regarding the terminology used. I've spoken to a few people since then. You know, a few people from both sides, the Spanish-speaking people, individuals that can translate the wording correctly, and a lot of them, even from people that I know from ethnic minorities who would technically be who could potentially be offended for what he said, a lot of which have been defending him. So that does surprise me a little bit. I've got to be honest. My interpretation, and again, like you've already said, I don't know the exact context. I've done a bit of sort of scooping around and had a bit of read of what people have got to say. And in terms of the context of what people are saying, is it's not in a derogatory manner. Um, like I said, I've looked into the sort of translation properly, and it does say that this is it's one of those things that can be seen as a good and a negative thing. From what I'm aware of, again, I might be completely wrong here. So, of course, I think he said something similar to what Suarez said to Evra, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I might be completely wrong. But if that was the case, of course, the Suarez situation is different. With Patrice Evra in particular, because it was said in an aggressive manner, said in a situation where they were arguing on the pitch, and it's not the context is completely different. Cavani said it to a friend, and it's kind of been taken out of context because of the wording, and translated into a way that is offensive in English. My personal perspective on this is that, he's 33 years old. He's a man of culture in terms of, he's played in numerous countries. It's not like he's a young lad. Again, not to excuse any form of miscommunication, or like if it was an 18-year-old, for example, again, I wouldn't say, oh, it's acceptable, but I'd understand it more. Not a man of the world. He's still a boy, 18. It's not acceptable to use that terminology, but if you're 18 and you've just come from Uruguay and you haven't got a clue how other people's customs are, I can understand how you'd made that mistake. But as a 33-year-old man, he's played everywhere. Literally, he's been around the world, so to speak, and he should know better. So that's why, for me personally, he should definitely get a ban. It's disappointing because it kind of took the gloss off myself screaming his name endlessly for numerous hours after the game for no apparent reason. Even people were asking me, "Are you okay?" And I'll just shout Cavani's name. So it's taken a bit of gloss out, but what I will say is it's just education. He needs education. I don't think it's similar to the Bernardo Silva situation, because Bernardo Silva used an image which is degrading and, well, basically racist, in a manner in which it depicts people from black ethnic minorities. So the context is completely different to that situation. And the Suarez context, again, I'm not sure if the wording was the same, but even if it was, Suarez said it in a different context. So it's not the same as either the situation. I know people are trying to put the three in one sort of bracket. They're not. They're completely different. So I think Cavani, in that sense, probably a couple of match ban, and just education. I think it's just a different cultural thing. Because like I said, in Uruguay, apparently it's deemed as I don't want to use the word compliment, but it's deemed as okay to use that terminology.
Yeah, whenever I read it, obviously I did kind of look it up, the meaning of the word, and it did exactly as you said it. It came up as if it was kind of like a positive and a negative.
Yeah, that's literally
But
what it said. Yeah,
obviously, Cavani didn't mean that to his friend in like a derogatory type like expression. Really, it was meant to obviously be like, to say thanks, but it did obviously come across wrong to some people. But with Suarez, for example, he has been here like for a while. I feel as if that is what Suarez said, it's not right. I'm not saying Cavani is correct for what he said either, but like it's probably better using it with someone who's from Uruguay than using it from like a Frenchman. Basically, it doesn't kind of sit well. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So I do still believe he should get a ban probably, and I need to agree with you on education. I've read that quite a lot of places, and I've spoken to some guys about it as well. And he's educated.
Yeah, education is always key in this because he's not going to put that down if he knows better. In terms of he knows it's wrong, or it could potentially be misinterpreted as wrong. So I don't think he would have wrote that, of course, especially to his friend. Just to clarify, we don't know if he said the same thing as Suarez. I'm not 100% sure. That's just what I heard. I might be completely wrong. So in the comments, don't be saying, "Oh, he didn't say the same." We're just saying if it is the same, then of course the context isn't the same.
Yeah, we also need to say that we're completely against all forms of racism as well, and we do agree that he should definitely get some form of education from the FA, because obviously he's culturally different.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Yeah, not understanding the cultural differences.
And I mean that's quite a big issue for me personally. I think that he does need to work on it, and I can imagine Cavani. He seems like a complete professional as well. He doesn't really strike me as a person who would go out his way after he scores 2 goals, go out and racially abuse his friend on Instagram. I doubt that would have been the case anyway. But we're not going to waste any more time on it. Obviously, we just need to wait and see what the FA give a ban about. I mean, I think probably how many games do you think? I think it probably about 3 games.
Yeah, I think it's going to be between 1 and 3. I can't see if it's anything more than 3. I think it's a bit because it depends on the context, really. And as you mentioned there, he's not going to say in a negative context towards his friend after he scored 2 games. There's just no reason to do it. It really makes no sense. And he, like as you've already mentioned, he comes across like a very professional, player. So it's just it would be very out of character. Not to say that it can't happen, but yeah, that's just my stance on it.
Yeah, you also look at Bernardo Silva, as you said, to Benjamin Mendy. I mean, I know Benjamin Mendy did come out and back him, but you look at that and you think, surely, like, that's a completely different.
Because he's Bernardo Silva, from what I'm aware of, sent pictures that depicted, ethnic minorities in a manner which is racist, basically. Pictures that within the history of, those pictures, the affiliation of seeing black people as less. So you can't send those pictures, man. It's just not acceptable. Like, in the day, it's not even a joke. Like, do you know what I mean? Young kids looking at those pictures, thinking it's acceptable. Bernardo Silva sent it. It's not okay. If a young person looks at Cavani status and the Uruguayan, for example, or they speak Spanish, they're not going to see that as a negative. Again, I'm not saying that it shouldn't be banned, but I'm saying it's a completely different scenario. And Bernardo Silva got what he deserved, which was a ban as well.
Yeah, it was as if he's belittling. That's whenever I saw the image.
Definitely.
Kind of just belittling Benjamin Mendy just due to his skin colour, which is, I mean, deserves education and lengthy bans for that. There's no excusing that at all. But anyway, we're going to move on and talk about someone else who's causing a lot of controversy in the media, which personally I don't think is completely merited. I don't think he deserves it. He's a young guy, Mason Greenwood, and I think he's obviously came back.
Yeah.
Played, had a bit of a tough time as well. Probably should have scored. Alex McCarthy made a fantastic save for the Southampton game, and I'm sure he get taken off at half time for Cavani, obviously our goal scorer, who basically won the game for us in the long term. And I just want to hear your thoughts on Mason Greenwood at the moment, because obviously he's going through a rough time by the sounds of it. He's if the media were kind of out to get him at a point. Obviously, he doesn't make it easy for himself. But should a 19-year-old get that type of abuse for the media? Definitely not. I do not stand for that. But what's your thoughts on it, mate?
Yeah, I think from the media perspective, hit the nail on the head. It's an absolute disgrace. in the manner in which the witch hunt has been on a 19-year-old lad. You know, at the end of the day, for me personally, he's 19 years old first and foremost. He's a human being. You need to take into consideration his mental health. You know, the amount of people in the media, your social platforms that will be tweeting about men's mental health matters and, oh, you need to look after one another, make sure everyone's okay. Yeah, it's all words. Like, there's no actions. Everyone's straight in there trying to tear him down, trying to ruin him, trying to cancel him over absolutely nothing. Like, end of the day, he's done the exact same thing as Phil Foden. Phil Foden's got...
He's a hero.
Phil Foden's scored a couple of goals. It's all forgotten. Green was lost one of his close friends to suicide at the age of 19. Imagine dealing with that. Like, God forbid anyone has to go through that. And then he's got on top of that, he's got the media on top of his back for no reason. Like, people need to understand that he needs to be protected. I'm happy that the Man United fan base has been looking after him. I've not seen any slander from any Man United fans towards Greenwood at all. You know, his performance, we'll touch on shortly. But in terms of his mental health, honest to God, like, what are they even doing? You just heard that a 17-year-old lad, I can't remember how old he is exactly, the one from Manchester City, his close friends, he's passed away through suicide, which is something that needs to be in the media more. Why are we talking about Greenwood? They need to be highlighting the fact that there's a young lad that's felt that he had no escape. This was his only escape. That needs to be highlighted in the media and talk about the mental health of footballers. Like, I just don't understand. They've got the power to raise awareness for such an important topic, especially in today's society for men who find it difficult to open up because they see it as a sign of weakness. You got Mason Greenwood here now getting targeted for no reason. Like, at the end of the day, his head must be all over the place. So if he is making mistakes on the back of that, I don't blame him. I can't even comprehend myself being in that situation as a 19-year-old lad trying to think straight, trying to think about football and do the right things. He may have broken, you know, COVID-19 rules or on term, but no one even knows the bloody rules because Boris keeps changing them every 2 days. So does Boris even know the rules? That, you know what I mean? It's like no one knows the rules. Like, everyone I know is in some way inadvertently, unintentionally breaking the rules. Yes, he was intentionally broke the rules, but no what? If my mate's just, you know, God forbid, one of my mates just passed away, he probably just wanted to get out of the house. Like, generally just want to get out of the house, get around people that he knows that generally love and care for him. Okay, granted, he's done something that he shouldn't have done, but it comes down to context. What do you want him to do? Sit on his own? Like, I just don't understand. Like, in terms of his football, yesterday's performance, he was poor. You know, Ollie's protected him. He's pulled him out the firing line. Said he's injured. I don't think he's been injured at all. But Ollie's done the right thing in terms of man management. We all know Ollie's fantastic at management. Man management. So he's done the right thing completely. He played him for 45 minutes, and I've got to be honest, him and Rashford, right? They cannot play together up front. Every time they play together up front, we've been absolutely woeful. They can't play together up front in a two. Yeah, granted, one could play on the right wing, one might be play on the left wing, as we've seen alongside Martial. But this is where Martial's role is so pivotal. He pulls defenders away and he allows them to play as a left forward and a right forward. And them two up front, they're too similar. They want the ball in behind. Neither can hold the ball. It just doesn't work. And I think Rashford could have went off either. Also, like, I don't think it was Rashford was better than Greenwood. I think they were both as bad as each other. The only difference was Greenwood missed two absolute gilt-edged chances. The first one when he went around the keeper, I cannot believe he missed that. I genuinely couldn't believe it because if you want anyone in that situation in our team, it's Greenwood without a shadow of a doubt. The second one is probably, I could make a case for it. It's worse because he takes a shot. It goes straight down the middle. Obviously, Bruno's got to score the rebound. We know that, but he could have passed it to Bruno, who would have been through on goal anyway. So he missed it. He's hit it straight down the middle as well. I don't know. It's not Greenwood-esque that you expect him to find the corner. But in saying that, I think Ollie did the right thing. You had to take one of them off. Sadly, it had to be Greenwood in this case. I just hope it doesn't knock his confidence too much, which is my only concern.
Yeah, I need to disagree on that. I don't think that his confidence will actually get knocked from this. I think Ole, as you said, his man management skills are top notch. He's a great man manager, and I think he's doing it for Mason Greenwood's best interests. I think he's trying to protect him, keep him kind of safe away from the media, avoid any kind of. I mean, basically what he's had the last couple of months has been terrible. Obviously, he's made mistakes, but I mean, you're 19. but like everyone's made mistakes.
Absolutely.
I couldn't imagine myself being in the firing line just now, and the media, it'd be absolutely terrible. People watching your every move.
Yeah.
He's not done everything correctly. I mean, everyone can agree with that, but we also need to look out for people's mental health in football, and you remember they're human beings just as much as me and you, and it's completely wrong. And I think, if anything, just now, I think we've got the perfect manager for it. I think we've got a manager who's probably had it in the past in his playing days at United, really whenever one of the best in the world, and you look at him and you think he's willing to give Greenwood time. He knows that basically one of the best players and best youngsters in the world in front of us, and there's a lot of learning to do, a lot of experience to build from other players, and this is when we need players like Cavani coming in and kind of showing his authority, showing Greenwood what to do. Obviously, I know he's got raw ability. We all know that. That's undeniable. But you look at Cavani and he's like the complete player that you look at. Obviously, I mean, very ignoring everything that happened last night, but he's playing, he's determined, everything I want in a striker. Yeah. And I was obviously sceptical of Cavani coming, but now he's came and he's amazing. I'm so happy we've got him, and hopefully Greenwood can learn a lot from him. But yeah, I'm just going to move on to the next point. And obviously, I know you know Dean Henderson. We spoke about this before, and I just want to know. Obviously, it seems like De Gea won't be playing on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Don't know if you saw just about an hour ago, it came out that David De Gea is getting a scan, and Ole's basically said that he's unlikely to play against PSG. So it looks as if Dean Henderson's going to play. So as you obviously work within the Sheffield United Academy, I'd like to obviously know what you think about Dean Henderson. Do you think he should be the starter to come? Do you think if he gets a run of games, think it's for the best? Because obviously he wants to join the England squad in the Euros, but they play Scotland, so I hope he doesn't play. I hope it's Pickford that plays it.
I don't know how Pickford gets a game for England. Oh my God!
No. I hope he does play. I hope Pickford does play. John McGinn from the halfway line just shoots from anywhere.
Yeah. McGinn, what a baller. Yeah. But just coming to Henderson, to be fair, McCarthy was absolutely brilliant. I'm surprised he's not got a call up for England. But then again, his pass to Greenwood is probably the reason why he's not got a call up. But yeah, just coming to Henderson first and foremost. It's an interesting one. I've got to be honest, I've not seen enough of him in training. I'm not going to sit here and say, I see them play. I just work at the academy, so I do a bit of coaching on the side. So from where I met him, in terms of character, he's a very good character to have in the dressing room. He's a Jack the lad. He's a funny guy to have around the dressing room. Every time I met him, he's always up for a laugh, sort of thing. So in that sense, he's definitely good to have in the dressing room. He's very confident, as you saw from his performance when he came on yesterday. No fear. The guy he's one of those guys that he genuinely believes in his ability. And I think at Man United, to make it, you have to have that in you, because especially as a goalkeeper, it's a very lonely position. A lot of people criticize De Gea for the free kick. Me personally, I don't think it's De Gea's fault.
How could you save that?
If the post is not there, I know it's a stupid comedy, but if the post is not there, he probably does save it. Because he gets a hand to it. But you've got to take into consideration where it is. It's literally on the post. And he has to take into consideration of he's basically trying to take one for the team. He's gone into the post and injured himself to try and save. I'm sure if he could save it, he would have done it. He gave it his all. It's just it's war props in the end of the day. Innit? People are saying because it's not in the top corner, it's not a good free kick, but it's in the corner. It's practically touching the post. But coming back to Henderson, I do have a couple of worries about him. I think he's, in terms of his shot stopping, he's very good. Coming out to collect the ball, he's not that good. He's good. He's got ability about him. He commands his box a bit better than De Gea does in general. But I just don't. I'm not 100%. I'm not sold on him, because I think at Sheffield United he was fantastic, but he has got quite a few mistakes in him. I was at the game when he let the one in through his legs against Salah for Liverpool, and there's a couple of incidents. There was one. I think it was Tobias who, when Arsenal beat them in FA Cup, Tobias went past his man, and shocking goalkeeping from Henderson let the goal in near post. So that's just two off the top of my head. So he is susceptible to making silly mistakes. My only concern is the fact that if De Gea is out now, he's going to have to step up and show why he is at the club. And has he got that in him? I'm not 100% sold on him. I've got to be honest. He doesn't strike me as someone that is world class or has that ability to be world class. I do think he's a good goalkeeper, but is he as good as De Gea? I think people are forgetting how good De Gea is. And to be fair to De Gea, he's been brilliant so far this season. So he's got massive shoes to fill in De Gea's absence, really.
I'm very surprised with what you've said there. I mean, I thought you were going.
I know a lot of people rate him highly, but I've seen so much of him. I think he's a good keeper. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good keeper. I think he's basically like Fabianski. I mean, like Fabianski in the net in terms of like he's not the next. Do you know what I'm saying? He's not elite. Fabianski's a good goalkeeper. He's done brilliant for West Ham. But I just don't know if Dean. Look, he's still a young lad. Don't get me wrong. He might prove me wrong, and I hope he does. But I'm just not 100% sure if he's got the ability to be that sort of, because you've got to remember how good De Gea has been for us. Minus the last year and a half, he's been absolutely woeful. We all know that. But De Gea's bar is ridiculously high, and even this season, De Gea has been brilliant. You had that save that he made against Istanbul, I think it was, when he saves it with his left foot. Nobody's even mentioned that save. That's such a huge save. You can go to ground early, you can make a silly mistake. His awareness to get the ball. Another thing about De Gea is that his ability to parry the ball out of danger is not spoken about enough. Like, if you go, I can't remember what game it was. I don't know if it was Chelsea, but he parries the ball out of danger all the time. And it's a very hard skill. And I don't know if Henderson's got that in him. But to be fair, Henderson's had some absolutely sublime games for Sheffield United as well. He made that triple save last season, which I can't believe the ball went to net. So don't get me wrong, he's a brilliant shot stopper, but I just don't know if you can hit those heights of, like, we want a world-class keeper, so we have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think that for what you said about Henderson, I can understand. Obviously, him, you've seen him a lot more than me. I have watched some Sheffield United games, but I can't say I've sat and went out my way to watch Sheffield United play. I think they're very boring. But for example, Dean Henderson, I think you also need to remember, Usmaan, he's very young. Like, he's a young guy. And keepers really, around about this kind of age, it's as if they're kind of struggling to find consistency. And I think we've seen that with everyone. I mean, I've seen that with De Gea. Whenever he joined with us, really struggling to find consistency. Sure. Even Neuer had it at the start whenever he was at Bayern. I'm not saying Dean Henderson will hit the level that Neuer does.
We hope so.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't mind it, but Neuer's superhuman the way he comes out and collects the ball. But I mean, if you added Dean Henderson's collections, like kind of sweeper abilities with Neuer's, it would be spot on. But I highly doubt that. Obviously, I think he's a good keeper. I think he's probably England's best keeper as well. Going into Euros.
I would say Pope. I'm not gonna lie. I think Pope
really?
is massive. Yeah, I think Pope is massively underrated because he's at Burnley. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's better than Henderson. I think Henderson's still a good keeper, but I don't know. I just think because a lot of people, because I watched every game for Sheffield United last season because I work for them. I get a free season ticket, so I just go whenever my United weren't playing at the same time. So I watched a lot of him. He's a quality keeper, very good shot stopper, similar to De Gea in that sense. But like I said, he has got a lot of mistakes in him. Not as much as Pickford has, but he does sometimes. His awareness isn't there. But like I said, he's a young lad, man. He'll learn, so it should be a problem.
Yeah, so I think obviously it's quite a good problem to have. I think De Gea has thrived off the fact that he's got a young guy behind him, basically wanting his spot in the team. And De Gea's not really had that. I mean, you look at Sergio Romero, who I feel quite bad for, to be honest, but he's kind of always settled for second, which is good, and it's fair enough whenever he can play in Europa League. Obviously, he was great for the 6 goals during the Europa League run where we beat Ajax in the final. We thought everything was all going to be great for then, and we were going to win the league the next year and stuff, but didn't materialise. But yeah, I think obviously with De Gea, he's really brought on his A game, which was I expecting this year? Not really. I was actually expecting Dean Henderson to kind of, for it almost to be like a kind of Anders Lindegaard and De Gea season, wherever they were kind of in and out the squad. No one really knew who was our number one at the point. We know the ability that David De Gea's got, like we did back at the start as well. But do we go with Dean Henderson because he's been pretty consistent? Obviously, I know he has made a few kind of rookie errors for Sheffield United in the past. But do we go for one of the most consistent keepers in the league last year, or De Gea? But it seems as if he's sticking with De Gea, which credit for Ole again. I mean, I'm Ole in it. I do really hate that debate, but I think his decision making this year's spot on.
Yeah.
With Dean Henderson, looks as if he's very happy to be at the club. Looks as if he wants to thrive and do better. I think now, though, I have seen reports in the media saying that he might go out on loan in January, and it seems to be from sources that are.
What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we should put him on loan in January, or?
I mean, depends really about Sergio Romero, but you look at Lee Grant as well. I think people like to kind of have a joke about Lee Grant and say, "Oh, he's old and not good enough." But we've also got like young guys as well who we could bring in, even if we do get injuries. I don't know if Romero is even going to be playing for us. I can't imagine him playing another game for us again. It looks as if we've kind of. Ole kind of has actually dealt with that situation quite poorly, I think.
Yeah, terrible.
He was known to help out in the Europa League, give De Gea a rest. The second we hit the knockout round, goodbye Romero. You can't see him again.
But they should have sold. Look, they should have sold him. At the end of the day, like, you know, you've seen the comments from his wife, and for me personally, as he mentioned, Romero's come in and he's given the opportunity to De Gea to have a rest. He never complained, never kicked up a fuss once. He's been a model professional. You know, he's done well when he's come in as well. You know, barely had a poor game. I know against lesser opposition, but he's barely made a mistake. He's been very calm and reassured when he's playing. And all he wanted was a move away. He would have got to Everton as well. Good move for him on a personal level. You know, Everton seemed like they're on the up in a sense. And we just blocked the move for no reason whatsoever. And then he's not even had a minute. So it's just pouring it really from the club. I don't know whose decision that was. I'm assuming it's Ollie's decision.
I can kind of understand though. Sorry, just to jump into that one. I can kind of understand why they wouldn't sell him to Everton.
I can understand that, but by all means, let him go. Like, obviously, Everton could potentially be a rival.
Surely some other teams were in for him. I mean, you look at Aston Villa. I think I heard a lot about Aston Villa looking for him before Emiliano Martinez, who pretty similar keepers, very good keepers. Probably your best number twos in the league.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now he's went to Aston Villa, but it looked as if the interest was originally in Sergio Romero, which is crazy to me, to the fact that maybe there wasn't a bid, maybe I'm just completely wrong, but if there was, you need to let him go. There's no point in keeping him on the wage bill. I think Romero's on quite a high amount of
he must spend at least 120.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Probably about 100 to 120 a week. And do we need that on the team? No, I mean, I think we need to recoup as much money as possible. I wasn't planning to talk about Pogba today. We could maybe dive into that just now, but I think we need to recoup a lot of money and use it elsewhere.
There's a few players we could probably sit here and list off at least a good 6-7.
Yeah, like he's another one. His legs are made of glass. Like there's actually no point in keeping him. He's pretty useless. I do like Bailly, and whenever he plays, he's good, but he's always injured. There's absolutely no point. But we'll save that for another day. I mean, I could talk about injuries all day, every day. At least it's not back to too many. Do you remember that with David Moyes? Whenever pre-season, everyone got injured because he'd done all these intense training sessions, and Phil Jones was on the floor for about.
Phil Jones is always injured, man.
6 years or something. Oh, him as well. I mean, Phil Jones, he'll be on.
I forgot. Generally forgot he's here. When was the last time we played a game? Was it that Chelsea game in the semi? Even Hazard destroyed him.
He actually was crawling along the ground basically.
It's like, my God!
Are you going to go to his testimonial if he gets one?
He deserves it.
Yeah, I think I'll come down for that one. I'll go to the testimonial. Phil Jones, get it in the back of my top as well. I mean,
my God,
absolutely
shambolic that.
Yeah, and then I mean, you let Chris Smalling go as well. Obviously, he's not amazing, but you look at it and you think we need to try and get rid of Phil Jones somehow.
Phil Jones,
Marcus Rojo as well. I forgot he existed.
Fosu Mensah needs to go. I don't know why he's getting offered a new contract. Completely disagree with that. Who else is there? Obviously, we've already mentioned Bailly. I agree with you. Bailly, he can't stay fit for more than 3 days. We still got Pereira. He's still our player.
Fingers
Lingard,
crossed he goes to Lazio.
I really hope he's done well there. I know he started off right. Lingard obviously still our player. He's trying to come back on loan. To be fair, I'd probably send him another loan. Mata's getting off age. We've got so many players. Romero as well, as you mentioned. That's about 8 players off the top of my head, give or take. That we just need to get rid of them really, and just bring in more players, bring some fresh blood in. And it's just the wage bill as well. It's ridiculously high for no reason as well. So many of them aren't even making the bench.
Yeah, most of them aren't making the bench, and I forgot they even played with United. I mean, you look at Marcus Rojo, Phil Jones, 2 examples who really don't get a look in at all anymore. Then you look elsewhere, and you look in the Champions League, which I'm going to just briefly talk about as well. And you think surely in the Champions League, I'm surprised we haven't seen like a rotation. Maybe not. I don't mean Phil Jones. I think he's completely out it. But
I don't fancy Phil Jones against Neymar or Mbappe. Sorry.
No, definitely not. I think Axel Tuanzebe, I'd love to see more of him. Obviously, about the Champions League, he was an absolute boss against PSG. He was amazing. But, I mean, you look at it and you think he looked as if he was kind of getting blamed for the Istanbul game whenever we lost 2-1. He get brought off early on, and you think, surely a guy like that needs to play. He looks a lot of enthusiasm.
It was absolutely brilliant in the first game. The way he pocketed Mbappe and even Neymar to an extent. He's of course banned for our game tomorrow, so he can't play because he got that yellow card in the last game, which for the life of me I haven't got a clue why it was a yellow card. But Tuanzebe for me could potentially be the future. I've got to say that Lindelof and Maguire, in particular yesterday as well, and the last couple of games, they've been fantastic. Like, you know, we're straight away in there to criticise them. We've got to praise them as well. They've both been really good off late as well. So fair play to them both. I think for the Istanbul game when we lost 2-1 though, Maguire was so bad. I'll never forget that he got megged by 36-year-old. Well, I say megged, dummied by a 36-year-old Demba Ba for that second goal. Man, honest to God, it's so embarrassing. But I'd love to see Tuanzebe long term. I think Bailly for me would have been the perfect player, but he can't stay fit to save his life. What are your thoughts on Victor Lindelof? He seems to kind of turned it around in the last couple of games.
Yeah, so you talk about Victor Lindelof, and I was actually going to just mention him because in the last community talk with Haider, I was talking about Victor Lindelof, and I mean I've been on his podcast several times, and we've spoken about the whole defensive partnership and going back to the start of the year. And I've never really been a fan of Victor Lindelof. I think he does hold a lot of capability, a lot of like attributes that are valuable. I mean, he's quite good on the ball, let's be real. But you look at Axel Tuanzebe, he's also pretty good in the ball as well. He's very calm and composed.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say Bailly as much. I think Bailly, I'm pretty scared whenever he's in the ball.
Bailly's reckless.
Oh, so bad on the ball. But top class defender, if he can stay fit, needs to go. Victor Lindelof, I would definitely keep. I think he's got a lot of, as I said, attributes. He's learned a lot in the last couple of years, but I think he almost gets targeted in some of the games. You look at Everton, and I think they did really target him at points where long balls from Pickford, you know, Pickford's kicks, they can go, they can clear the halfway line easily.
Yeah.
And they get right up to Calvert-Lewin, and Calvert-Lewin always seemed to have went onto Lindelof.
I noticed that.
And you need to pick Lindelof's games correctly. Probably in Europe, he'd be ideal. And I would actually say, I'd say Tuanzebe in the league. I mean, in the Championship, obviously completely different standard, but I mean,
European football is just completely different, isn't it?
Yeah,
it does suit Lindelof's game more. I do agree with you, but in saying that, you can't really be chopping and changing the center. You know, you have to have consistency there. You can't, for example, have Lindelof for Champions League games. I know obviously you didn't mean like that, but in terms of having him for Champions League and then Tuanzebe for the league, I just think with Lindelof, he's a fantastic squad player, and he'll be a brilliant number 3. Tuanzebe for me, I would love to see him be the number 2 alongside Maguire. It's just whether he can sort of be a bit more commanding in the air. I've noticed against Demba Ba, in particular, in both games, even when he got substituted on the other day, he just can't seem to deal with Demba Ba. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it's his height, his physicality. Obviously, Tuanzebe is still a young lad. I don't know what it was. Demba Ba was just giving him the runaround on both games, and Maguire seemed to be dealing with Ba better. Obviously, Maguire's more dominant in the air, but Tuanzebe's overall game is far superior than Lindelof's, really, in terms of his mold as his characteristics and his strengths. He's almost like a perfect centre back to an extent. He's got everything about him. And that's kind of what we should be aspiring to have at a centre-back partnership. And he'll probably complement Maguire a lot more, because Lindelof, he hasn't got that pace, has he, really? Tuanzebe, as we've seen, keeping up to Mbappe in the foot races and making the challenge as well. And just in the 1v1 against Mbappe on numerous occasions, dealing with him. I think long-term Tuanzebe is definitely the answer, but it's whether he can stay fit now, really.
Yeah, and exactly. Obviously, I mean, you make the point there just right at the end, about Tuanzebe staying fit. I think that people also, I mean, I'm at college just now, and I do quite a lot about rehab and the injury prevention and stuff like that. And about Axel Tuanzebe, it looks as if he is almost like had unfortunate injuries. Possibly they are from training, maybe just like an overload, too much for what he's doing. But they're very unrelated, and it's not reoccurring injuries. Whereas, see, Eric Bailly, he constantly gets reoccurring injuries, which down his legs are made of glass. I don't know what.
But that's because he's flying kicking everyone. Have you seen the way he plays? Like, he's absolutely insane. Him and Rojo said about partnership with strike free in any attack size. It's you don't know if you're going to come out with your legs at the end of the game.
I know, it is quite funny seeing Bailly playing. And I mean, Rojo's worse. It baffles me the fact how has he not had a red card?
I don't know. I was saying this the other day. I can't believe it. Like, how is he?
Do you remember the one against Everton where he literally jumped in from here down two-footed, like, and he got away with it?
Oh my God! Can you imagine him with VAR? He'd be giving us so many penalties away now. He would definitely get sent off with VAR. The amount of ridiculous. Him and Bailly, to be fair, I do love seeing them together. It just makes me laugh, and you can tell like they'll rough up any striker, so it's good to watch. To be fair.
Oh yeah, like if it's anyone up front, they'll give it a go. They'll try and break their leg or let them know they're early on. We'll say that. But yeah, we'll need to move on to the next point. I could talk about Bailly for ages. I could write a book about him. It's great, and you'd think it's made up, but it's actually true. And whenever you look back at this in years to come, you're like, did he actually play with United? Because he doesn't look like your classic United defender, does he? Come back to your. Obviously, I wasn't born, but I know him like well. I've seen a lot of clips about him, like your Steve Bruce's, and obviously going on to kind of my time whenever I was young, watching United, like the Nemanja Vidic and Ferdinand. He doesn't really strike you in that category where he shows any sort of qualities, and they say even with the ball at his feet, he looks scary.
He's just reckless. I do love him. But to be fair, I do actually rate him as a defender. You just can't say fit. Like you've seen against Chelsea when he played, that recovery pace that he's got. When Maguire got skinned, I don't know if it was Abraham that took the shot, and he just gets across and slides and then blocks the shot. Like he's got ability in abundance, but there's no way he's going to stay fit. He's had too many chances now. So for me personally, he just needs to get sold. Although I was a fan of it, so it is what it is, I guess. Yeah,
I agree with you. He does need to move on, and you look at a similar kind of build-up player who is a lot more consistent. Dayot Upamecano, who I would absolutely love at United. Does it look as if it's going to happen? Probably not. Bayern will make their move early on.
Yeah,
it seems if they want rid of Jerome Boateng. I've heard that from Sports Build. Seems as if it's pretty reliable.
It makes sense, and for him to go there, he's already in Germany as it is.
Yeah. Why would you not move?
Listen, they take everybody, man. Do you know what I mean? The Alaba and Upamecano, Alphonso Davies, and obviously who plays right back for them? I can't remember off the top end. Is Pavard still there? Is Pavard still there? Oh, he is there. But yeah, that defense is solid. It's quite a fairly young defense. But Alaba, who might actually be, Alaba's actually available. Have you seen this?
I have seen that.
I don't understand why we are not going all out for him. This man can play CDM, centre back, left back, and he's elite in every position. He's basically the modern day Philip Lahm. And for some reason, we're not all over it. I know apparently Chelsea have opened talks with Alaba. Like, honest to God, I'm going to be fuming if we don't actually at least put in a bid. I
think he'll go to Manchester City. To be honest,
it does make sense, innit? Yeah, but
and I have
they've got Laporte and Diaz as well at the moment.
But I can imagine him playing left back. I mean, I don't think Mendy's that good. I think Mendy's kind of he should probably take a job up like us and do something to do with social media.
Yeah, Him and Lingard would be good social media influencer, to be fair.
Yeah, he's very kind of orientated in that way rather than actually
Yeah.
playing on the park, which is fair enough if he actually provided the goods on the park. But I mean, don't want to ruffle some feathers, but it doesn't look as if he can do that either. But yeah, I'm going to quickly just talk about a question that I do ask the guys who do come on Community Talk podcast, which has been going on since the start of Trafford Talk. And I just want to know, what's your expectations for the season ahead? Obviously, it's a hard one to say.
Yeah.
And I know you'll everyone has struggled to judge it. Obviously, we're in a much better position, and I did see this coming. I mean, we were sitting 15th 2 weeks ago, so that was, I can't remember who I had on 2 weeks ago. I've had a lot of different guys on. I think it was actually Ben. I think it was Ben Pearce from Alfred United, and I did say, I was like, we're not that far off. We're not that far off, like the top four. Do we have the ability to win the league? I spoke to some of my friends about it.
No.
One of my friends is like, oh yeah, I mean, we might be able to win it. I don't think we've got the ability to win the league.
No, I don't think we've got any consistency in us, to be honest. Look, for me personally, where I stand at the moment is the league is open for anyone to, state a claim to it. As you've already mentioned, we're not that far off. Technically, Arsenal aren't even that far off. I know we banter Arsenal Football Club, but they're only 8 points off first, believe it or not. And they've got Spurs on the week, so if to beat them, they're only 5 points. And it's just a matter of consistency. Any team that puts a decent run together, you got to factor in the fact that Liverpool have got so many injuries. They're playing 2 games a week. The Christmas period is coming in. They're not going to be able to rotate the squad a lot, so they're going to drop points. They're going to have a lot of fatigue, similar to what we did post-lockdown when our players towards the end of the season were absolutely dead on their feet. That is going to be a case for them. So I do think there's an opportunity to gain ground on them. I just think for me personally, it's just we just don't have any consistency in each game. Like in terms of performance, I was, fantastic win against Southampton. I know we mentioned Cavani briefly. Fantastic performance from Cavani in the second half. But if we took one player, it was one player that carried us to that victory, really. You can't. Although I do think we had good moments in the game, and in the second half, we were very good in terms of how we sustained attacks. Overall, we don't play consistently well for large parts of the game. And the truth of the matter is we're relying too much on individual brilliance for me. So how often is that going to happen? You've seen a game with Arsenal and started to, compare us to other people. They were massively reliant on Aubameyang last season. And, Aubameyang's on a bit of a goal drought himself, and Arsenal are struggling. What's going to happen if Bruno Fernandes goes on a bit of a drought in terms of his performances? Then what's going to happen? Because for me personally, there's not enough people in the team chipping in terms of goal contributions, assist contributions, and just creating chances. Van de Beek, by the way, has been an absolute breath of fresh air in the last couple of games. For me, he has to start. He's been absolutely fantastic. The manner in which he keeps the ball, his ball retention is world class for me. He hardly gives the ball away, and he's brilliant. So he can definitely help us get further up the table alongside Bruno Fernandes as a midfield too. Hopefully Fred can, play alongside them. I just think it's too early to say. I think we both know that. But it just comes down to which team shows a bit of consistency in the league, because Liverpool are going to drop points. We all know about Spurs. Spurs will definitely drop points because they're Spurs. Chelsea, for me, I'm not massively sold on them at the moment. I know a lot of people are riding this wave of Chelsea or the new thing. We're 3 points behind Chelsea. Like, if, we're literally a couple of points and we've got a game in hand. So,
yep.
Exactly. So we've got a game in hand. We're literally not far off anybody. A lot of the teams are getting a lot of plaudits from the pundits, from fans on social media. We're in touching distance. We're 1 game behind them. And that 1 game could be us beating them when we play them the second time in the season. So, we're in there. We're in the conversation. Of course, we're in the conversation. But for me personally, realistically, top 4 and win a trophy, Ollie, you've done your job, mate. That is all I would say. I just want us to be in the conversation of winning the title. I don't think we'll be close to it. But if we're in about the conversation, we win a trophy, then you know what? I'd say that's a bit of progress. I'm not going to say that's an amazing season, because as Man United fans, we should always aspire to do more. But given where we currently are, we can't be overly arrogant, and we can't just assume because we're Manchester United that we should be challenging for the league or have expectations to do so. So for me personally, expectation-wise, it has to get top 4 minimum, because we just got 3rd last season, and then hopefully win a trophy. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I think that'd be quite a successful season. I mean, Ole didn't really get his number one targets, which I have spoke about in pretty much every single podcast that I've done, and it's so frustrating. Like, we need to bring in the guys that he wants, the guys that he thinks that can improve the team. I mean, yes, he did get Van der Beek. I still don't think he was a number one. I think we'd have went if we were buying any midfielder. I know obviously played in a different type of role.
I feel like we should have bought Partey. I've got to be honest.
Well, yeah, I'm quite surprised we went in for him, especially whenever he had the release clause where Arsenal actually just went to the league in.
Well, Atletico Madrid weren't even aware of it on the deadline. They got told an hour after, so they didn't even have a say in it. They just got told, "Oh yeah, by the way, his release clause been triggered." So we should have went for Partey, but Van der Beek in itself does look like it's been a brilliant signing because in the last, I don't know what you think about him, but in the last couple of games, he's just shown his quality really.
No, I think he has been probably one of our best players. I was going to say our best, but definitely Bruno Fernandes has been our best. But when we talk, going back to your point about goal contributions, which I would quite like to talk about, if people actually do expect us to win the league, which to be honest, I can't see happening, or even want us to get top four, more guys need to be chipping in with goals. You can't always rely on Bruno Fernandes.
We don't get enough goals from midfield.
I don't even think that. I think it's the strikers.
Yeah.
Martial. Rashford, I don't think Rashford's even been that good so far.
Statistically, yeah, he has, but I agree. I don't think Rashford's been nowhere near good enough.
But as a left wing, he hasn't shown much in the last couple of games. I think it is down to the fact he was injured. He did tear something in his upper back, and he kind of just got flung back in. Which you look at that and you think, why is he playing? And maybe that is what's taking him down like a peg or two. His performance is usually one of the best in the team, and that's what I'm saying. Not saying that he's bad, and not saying that he has been bad. I just think he's got more to give.
I personally think he has been bad. I've got to be honest. Compared to, again, I've got high standards for a lot of these players. Martial, another one, and I just think Rashford has been below par against RB Leipzig. He comes in and bags a hat trick. That's what I expect from him. Obviously, not scoring a hat trick, but in terms of his absolute sheer
influence,
that's why he's good enough to do it. You know, you see the third goal, he tees it up for himself and just pings it into the bottom corner. Even the goal against PSG, his first goal against RB Leipzig, 1v1 against Upamecano, absolutely leaves him for dead. That finish was absolutely disgusting. And there's no keeper in the world saving, and two keepers in the world man will save it. Complete, he's 1v1 against the keeper, no mercy, he just absolutely lashed it into the bottom corner, cross goal. Same against PSG, he's got it in him. So for me, I'm not saying I expect him to score them kind of goals every single week, but have form of impact like yesterday. Prior to this, what did he do in the game? Absolutely non-existent for 90% of the game. Yes, granted, he eventually showed a bit of quality and got the assist, but overall, he's not doing it for me. And same with Martial at the moment, but I think Martial's a bit more obvious because statistically, he says he's not doing it as well. As I said for Rashford, for me personally, I want him to be more aggressive. Get the ball, run at your man. Every single time, you're good enough to take people on 9 out of 10 times. And for some reason, he doesn't do it. Against Everton, that was one of Rashford's better games, bar the RB Leipzig game. Got the ball, ran at them, played with absolute no fear, and played with a bit of arrogance. And what you used to see with the Hazard used to ask for the ball, give me the ball, I'll make something happen. Neymar, again, you may love him or you may loathe him. Give me the ball, I'll make something happen. That's what I expect from Rashford. That's what I expect from Martial. They need to be wanting to be the difference in the games. If you want to be elite and you want to be world class, you have to be. You never need to be shy. You never need to shy away from the ball. And I feel like Rashford in particular does that a lot. He'll go hiding on the wing and he'll just stand there. We see that a lot with other players in other teams. For me, he's got all the talent in the world. He just needs to work on his IQ for me. And he can go right to the top. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, I think he was actually lucky to stay on the park. I'm surprised though they didn't take him off any earlier than what they did. But obviously he went with Greenwood instead, which obviously we spoke about earlier on. I do think it was just to protect Greenwood.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we've kind of covered everything just now over the last week. Everything that's happened. It's been great talking to you, Usmaan. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you for having me, mate.
And obviously, guys, as I said at the start of the video, just make sure to follow us on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram and Facebook. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel. So thanks, guys.
Peace.